The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Gwilda Wiyaka's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the Science of Magic or endorsed in any manner by Gwilda Wiyaka, Relmar McConnell Media Company, its affiliated networks, stations, or employees. Welcome to the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, a program dedicated to uncovering the unified nature of reality and humanity's ever-evolving place as truly galactic beings. For more information on the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Welcome to the Science of Magic, a place where science and magic come together to transform fact into evolving truth. We can be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. This hour we'll be exploring House of Many Mansions. I was in my small dorm room in boarding school, going through a closet looking for a missing shoe, when I found the hidden door. Oh, I remember this, I thought as I stepped inside. Narrow, descending stairs opened up into a huge room with high ceiling set with windows. 1920s furniture was covered with white sheets. Everything was in mint condition but dusty and unused. The windows were dirty, nonetheless ample light shone through. The rich parquet floors were covered in a layer of dust. It was clear no one had been there for years. How could I have forgotten this? It was beautiful, and it wouldn't take much to clean up. I could hardly wait to move in. I woke in my narrow dorm bed, disoriented and disappointed that the lovely house of my dreams was not real. Or was it? Soon after, I experienced an expansion of consciousness that changed my life. I had just turned 14, and while born somewhat intuitive, my perceptions deepened considerably. I started having radical and revolutionary insights into the way life worked and my place within it. It was as if another chamber of my being had become available. I consulted my roommate, but she had no idea what I was talking about. When I approached the dorm proctor, she kindly asked me if I'd been taking drugs. I hadn't, but she didn't quite believe me and watched me closely after my revelation. I decided it was wise to keep my own counsel. Cleaning my small apartment while in college, I discovered an unused door off the tiny pantry. Creaky, narrow wooden stairs led up to a bedroom I'd forgotten about. The spacious room was old-fashioned. A handmade quilt on the canopied bed, an oak table with a hand-crocheted tablecloth was covered with small gilded framed pictures of people dressed in turn-of-the-century clothing. Though I'd never met them, they all looked familiar. Again, I woke disoriented and disappointed that the lovely bedroom was not real. Afterward, I was surprised to be contacted by ancestors and spirit guides in my dreams. They spoke of things I later verified, though I had no way of knowing at the time. These were just the first of many house dreams. After every one, my perceptions and understanding would expand exponentially. What are these houses of many mansions from my dreams? In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. John 14:2. We're so much more than we've been led to believe. We've been taught to limit our entire realities to the 5 senses of our physical bodies, yet our souls extend to the edge of the universe and beyond. The expansive aspects of our spirit have their own set of perceptions, which can only be understood by the human mind through metaphor. Yet when one learns to access and interpret the information to be found in the esoteric realms, the wisdom of the universe is available to us. For whatever reason, my first awakenings were spontaneous, foretold by house dreams. It was very alienating, a difficult time until I met my first shamanic teacher, who taught me how to control and ground what I was becoming. Later, I learned to cooperate with the process and sought continued spiritual awakenings. The major problem was stepping spiritual information down to a form that could be comprehended and therefore useful at the physical level. With limited success, I endeavored to create a translation point, first for myself and later for my clients and students. The search finally led me to the imagination. Both day and night dreams come through the imagination, as does shamanic information. Through imagination, we hear the song of our soul. We're infinite beings trying to speak to ourselves as we exist here on Earth. The future of our race demands we listen. We have but to follow our dreams to find enlightenment. Our guest this hour, Mary T. Beben, author of the Palladian House of Initiation, has a master's degree in transpersonal psychology from Sophia University in Palo Alto, California. Mary is a member of the Jung Society of Washington, D.C., and has been a spiritual teacher for much of her life. She lives in Lorton, Virginia. After this commercial break, I'll introduce Mary. Together, we'll consider the expansiveness of our spirits and the exploration of all that we are. So don't go away. You're listening to The Science of Magic. Prior innovative episodes can always be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Mary Beben, spiritual teacher and author of the Palladian House of Initiation. Her website, www.marybeben.com. That's MARYBEBEN.com. Mary, thank you so much for joining us on The Science of Magic.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here, Gwilda. Thank you for having me.
When and how did you learn about what you refer to as the Palladian family?
Well, before I even say that, I want to tell you that hearing what you had to say sounded like you were telling my own life story. I was so thrilled to hear the experiences you had about houses and how they are a sign of, inner places that can be expanded and that can expand our consciousness, and it just sounds like we traveled the same path. So where I first heard about Pleiadians was in some of Barbara Clow's work and Barbara Marciniak's work, and long before I read those things, though, I was aware of spiritual guides and beings. And when I read some of the things that those two women had to say about Pleiadians, I realized that they were very, very similar to the guides who were speaking to me and teaching me, especially in their sense of humor. That's the biggest marking I have about Pleiadians, is that they are seem to be very devout, very loving, very interested in our development and the course of the earth. But they also have a very light touch, and they don't take themselves too seriously. And I kind of love that about them, so I paid attention.
That's so important, isn't it? My teacher always said to me, never trust a shaman without a sense of humor.
Well, that I believe is true, yes. Yeah.
Why the Pleiades and not some other system?
I couldn't really tell you that. It's just that it's not so much that you sort things out and decide on which one you want to work with. They come to you, and the next thing you know, you're embroiled in their little plots and schemes, which are just plots and schemes for us to wake us up. But it's not like you get to choose. I know some people have worked with beings from other star systems, but I really don't know much about that at all. I just work with the ones who are interested in my work. And my work has always been about the Great Mother, you might say, the Earth, the way the Great Mother and the Earth are creating us every moment. And the Pleiadians seem to be very interested in the same work, that Earth would be this amazing planet that it was created to be. And we just need to wake up and realize who we are. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
No, it did. Do you see the Palladians as a frequency that comes from the star system, or do you see them as actual ETs, if you will?
I do not really picture them as either one, although I do believe they are part of a star system. I do not experience them as coming from there, you might say. I believe they are inherently part of us, that we are, as you said in your introduction, our souls reach out to the edge of the galaxy, the cosmos, whatever, however far you want to extend, our souls are in contact with all of that. And in that particular milieu, I see the Pleiadians and we as all parts of the same whole living together in this wonderful creation that we don't begin to understand. So I'd never see them as ETs. I never see them as extra to us. I see them as very beloved companions, and yet part of our own, you might say, part of your own body, part of your own, for me, they're part of, all I consider myself to be is a mythology anyway. And I think they're part of my mythology. They come part and parcel with whatever I am, wherever I came from, and this wonderful journey that I'm on. So I'm more interested in the inner truths, I guess, but inner in the sense of deep mythological, what really makes us human.
So as we evolve spiritually, we become higher frequency. At higher frequency, we enter into more unity. And is that when you see that communication coming more easily with our helping spirits, our Palladian friends, and everything else?
Definitely, yes. And not just with Pleiadian spirits, because I know there are many others. And I don't know how involved the different groups are with one another, but they're very related, like some of the Native American ancestors and helpers are all around us, and many not only Pleiadians have come to me, but actual people who have passed on, and other kinds of spirits and angels, but nobody that I've experienced is working in any contradiction with the others. It seems like the ones who are most interested in what I'm able to do come to me and help me to do it. That's all I can say. Whatever my particular task is in this whole, in this unity, the ones who are also very excited about that kind of thing, whether they've already passed on or whether they're beings from another dimension, they seem to come and be attracted to what I'm doing, because I'm the one here that can hold the pen in my hand. That's all I am.
Boy, don't I hear you there. And what's fun, Mary, is I find that that's the same with people. Now that we're coming into this time of greater frequency and more unity, is there's people coming together, forming soul teams and being each other's helping spirit, if you will. And I think that's really exciting.
It is, and I think we are to wake up to the fact that these beings that come to us are the future us. We are to be those beings that come and help others. That's really what it's all about. We have all those qualities and all those abilities, and we keep on projecting that we need them to come to us. And we do until we get it. We do need them until we get it, that they're grooming us to learn who we are so that we can do that work. And
it's amazing to have that kind of help, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
And I forget the words you used, but in your introduction you talked about, just the major ways we're discovering the realities that are present now it's like we don't have to study books, and it's good to study. I've done my share of it, and I think we do need to pay attention to that. But I think you don't need to bury your head in books and study everything. That so much comes to you in as you raise your frequency. So much comes to you, that knowledge that others are holding, other beings are holding. I consider myself kind of what's the word when you say all-knowing?
Omnipotent. Yes.
Omnipotent. Yeah. No, not omnipotent. Omniscient. I think it's omniscient when you know everything. Uh-huh. But anyway, and yet I don't know anything. And at any particular time, I go totally blank and don't know anything. But when I need to know something, it's right there, because someone in this wonderful unity that we call the all, someone or some being has it, and it's immediately available to me. And
I have that same experience, yeah.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear that. That's very encouraging, because I think we can all have that. I could say, oh, darn, I can't speak Chinese, but I don't need to speak Chinese. If I was attracted to that and it was part of my work, I think I would probably study it, but I also would be given all the help I need to know Chinese. And so I never think of that I'm lacking anything in the area of knowledge. When I need to know it, I know it. One thing, I wake up and I say, duh.
So one of the things that I'm wondering about is, it seems to me like a lot of the ancient knowledge that's been recorded, that we study, that we go to, like even what medicinal herbs do, all of this ancient knowledge came at another high frequency time when people did have direct access to this kind of information, was recorded, and we've been running off of it ever since. Have you experienced that?
Yes, I have, and I think that a lot of I don't want to sound like an expert in this field, because I'm not, but I do think a lot of wonderful knowledge like that was lost when people were persecuted because of who they were. And not only that generation was lost, like the witches were burned, and different things that happened to people who knew things that the political structure didn't want them to know or practice. And when we didn't just lose that generation, but that trauma and that phobia gets passed down in the DNA. And there's a great fear of learning these things.
And it's that phobia is alive and well today. I think it kind of stands behind a lot of the terrorism we're dealing with.
Yes, I agree. That there's a few things standing behind that terrorism, but that's right. The phobia and the fear of trusting the knowledge, the old knowledge. But all of it is working toward evolution, isn't it? Because the type of consciousness we had then could have been a little too one-sided also. It may have needed some of the patriarchal discipline to come in, like science, and so we were using both sides of our brain, and using both the ancient knowledge that comes through intuition and through the right brain, but also to learn how to, say, predict a hurricane or something, the way science can do. There's room for both sides of the brain, and I think that some things sometimes have to be sacrificed, even really good things, for other elements to come in to evolution.
I totally agree.
I have hope for the world yet.
I have a lot of hope for the world, even though it's looking pretty messy right now, isn't it?
It is, really.
Yeah. So we're going to have to take a little bit of a break here, but I'm really excited about working with you. When we come back, I'd really like to start talking about what is a Palladian House of Initiation, and how can people access it, find it on their own, find their own place within the circle of knowledge that we're talking about. Okay. Mary and I will just return to our discussion after the news at the bottom of the hour. You're listening to The Science of Magic. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Previous broadcasts of thought-provoking episodes can always be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. We will be back, so don't you go away. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, a place where magic and science come together to promote enlightenment. Visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our special guest this hour is Mary Beben, spiritual teacher and author of the Palladian House of Initiation. Her website, www.marybeben.com. So, Mary, as I promised our listeners, what is the Palladian House of Initiation?
Well, the house itself is a metaphor, but it's also a very real. It's a structure in consciousness, though. It is not a structure that is actually you can touch and feel with your hands, but it is a very real structure in consciousness. And what it is it's a place to go for initiation. But in the same token as you talked about finding places inside yourself that expand, it contains those places that you must expand into. And not everyone's house is the same, of course, but the basic idea is that there is a house of initiation that we all are welcome to come to, and we may find each of us a little difference in the structure. But the important thing is that there is an actual bona fide structure in consciousness for us to be initiated into higher realms and into higher frequencies. And so I just think that for me, the house kind of built itself around me in a way as I grew. The facets of the house, one of the places I love best in the house, I guess I could mention the different rooms first and then go back to them. There is what I call the gathering room, which is not a place for gathering people, but gathering really important pieces of your life, of earthen life, of your earthen experience. I'll go back to that again. There is a kitchen where it's really an alchemical laboratory rather than just a kitchen. It's many, many things. In this house, people come and go that are guides and former residents there. They're ancestors. They're many, many spirits and mythological beings, and they come when it's good for the seeker to come to meet them. And there is a room there where women, I don't like to say just women, but there's a feminine type of room for women to feed what they have to give to the world. There's a place where the masculine spirit can go and become what he is able to give to the world, to grow, in other words, to grow in strength and power in what he has come to do. But these are not just masculine or feminine roles. They are roles within us as men or women. So I don't see what I call the hall of the swords in the house is not a place for men to go, only it's the masculine within each of us, whether we're men or women, have got to go there and learn to shape our very being into the instrument that will make us strong enough and sturdy enough to do our work. So I liken that to the sword, which just as that part of us works and shapes ourselves, that's what we're doing. We're shaping an instrument that is as big as all eternity. And it's at hand then for us to use any time that we need it. It's not an instrument for killing, it's an instrument for really shaping ourselves.
So it's a
And
path of the
there's,
peaceful warrior.
I would say that, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole metaphor of the house is like a way shower path sort of thing to show you how to grow in, how to ascend, how to do it gradually, how to call on other beings. There are different levels in the house. On the second level, I have imagined a place where all seekers could go, and not sure if it's clear to everyone what that means, but I see seekers also as dreamers. So I have them in this house. Part of their initiation is to collect their dreams, to take some time apart from everyday reality and go into seclusion and just allow dreams to be given to them.
Okay, so stepping into theta.
That's right. Start allowing yourself to be led rather than thinking you can think your way through life and plan it all yourself. And so on the level above that, then I have the avatars and the great spirits, you might say, the great inspirers, living out their dreams or continuing their dreams, and letting them sort of sift down through the levels to the dreamers that are below them, so that we always have levels of people above us and levels that we are aspiring to, and they're always helping. We are one, no matter whether you're in a house or what other structure you imagine. There's always higher beings who are part of who we are, part of our unity, and they're either pulling you up or helping you up or in some way inspiring you to the higher levels so that you can reach them.
This is amazing. This seems so shamanic in nature.
It is shamanic, yes.
Yeah. I define shamanism as an organized set of rituals. It helps you manage matter at the quantum level. And so it feels to me like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the house is a construct in the imagination to help you navigate and negotiate your way through the spiritual realms or the quantum level. Is that correct?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. The only thing is, some people think of the word imagination as unreal. Oh, she made it all up. No, not at all. The imaginatory realm is so very real. And what I'd like to do is call it creative imagination rather than just imagination, as if you were just doodling or something, which there's nothing wrong with doodling either.
Well, if you can't imagine it, you can't create it. That's where we build a matrix for manifestation. And that's also the only place we get spiritual information is through the imagination.
That's exactly right. And I want that to be loud and clear, that people realize that's the thing we lack in this whole country and world, is if we had enough creative imagination, we could manifest anything. We could manifest a whole different way of living here.
You know what I find?
We're doing that. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what I find frightening, Mary, is our imagination has been taken over.
Yes.
Now we're taught what to imagine, what to see, what to think, what to feel by the games or the this or the that. And so our imagination has been appropriated, and now we're manifesting for the system rather than from our true heart's desire. Are you seeing that, and does that play in here?
Yes. Oh, I think it definitely plays in, and we're not allowing our instincts to help us learn to be more human. We are truly, whatever you just said about playing to the system, we're creating for the system rather than for the good and the wholeness of Earth and its people. But we can learn the difference, and that's why whenever I teach, I stress it's the inner work you do. You could march all day long, and people have to do some of that, but the outer demonstrations and the outer work that people do to build a better world, that's only coming from what is driven by the inner. And if you don't have the inner creative spark going, the imagination to manifest these things, you have got automatons. You don't have magic. Magic comes from the fact that we are a living, breathing world that's being created right under our noses. We think it's all there and it all works a certain way, and it's never going to be any different. But if we could let our creative imaginations loose, we would see that creation is happening right this minute. And even as you and I talk, we are sparking things that are alive, and in their aliveness, they have much more power than any of the canned things that people are trying to create. So this is why I feel there's so much hope for the world, because as soon as you get a living word going out there, a living experience, a living relationship with someone else or with other, you've got creation happening all around you. And I think that once people catch on to that, they will be amazed.
That's the best kept
reinforcing that.
That's the best kept secret, isn't it? That we each as individuals have the power to create, because the minute we recognize that, we're no longer subject to.
It's the way it always has been.
Exactly,
right.
Exactly. Well, Mary, we're going to have to take another little break.
Okay.
And we'll get back on the other side. This is so interesting. Mary and I will be back on the flip side of this commercial break. You're listening to The Science of Magic, the place where altruistic professionals of science and the esoteric create common ground for the betterment of our world. You can always listen to previous transformative broadcasts on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, bringing together gifted people of service to our world. Our website is www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Mary Beben, spiritual teacher and author of the Palladian House of Initiation. Her website, www.marybeben.com. Mary, do you feel that everybody's in the process of evolving at this time?
Well, that's my gut feeling, but I don't know that as any kind of science. I hope that's the truth. I think enough of us are, at least, that we will draw the rest up with us. That's all I can say. I really think that being all of one piece, it can't help but raise up the entire... Well, Jesus had a wonderful talk saying about the leaven in the dough. You know, if you are the leaven in the dough is going to rise.
That's beautifully stated. It's kind of like the 100 monkey theory, isn't it?
Right.
You speak of ascending while we're still on Earth. Would you mind explaining what you mean by that?
Yes, I mean that you don't have to die. It would be a terrible waste to ascend and die, because there's so much work to be done here. But by raising your frequency enough to be able to correspond with all these beings who are all around us, trying to help the evolution of Earth and help our ascendancy, you can do it while you're still alive. It's a tough job. It's not always happy and friendly, but it's a very, very satisfying thing to be able to reach these higher frequencies and have more of a vision from a higher place. I think that's the whole point, is to imagine yourself physically ascending, which of course you're not, but imagine yourself physically ascending to where you can stand above the earth and see everything that's going on, and also see its attachments to the other dimensions and the other levels of reality, and to kind of be a big brother then to it, or a big sister to it, saying, oh, okay, I see why you're doing things the way you are, but you really don't have to. I see that you could drop that anytime you chose to just think differently, so that we're not parents scolding these fighting and warring beings here on earth. We're not looking at them and judging and saying you're bad. You're saying, oh, I understand now a little more why this is, but let's help you find a better way, you know? You don't have to hit your brother with a sword every time he takes something away from you. I mean, we are such children until we learn that there are alternatives.
It's amazing, isn't it? You know, how speaking of negativity, how do negative or lower frequency expressions like fear, jealousy interfere with our evolution, and what can we do about it?
Well, they keep us in a belief system, and the belief system is the matrix, I think. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's not the proper word, but that's the way I see it. The belief system we're in, whether it's a faith belief or or just any belief like 2 and 2 is 4, any belief system we're in, we have to be confined to its rules. And once we realize that our minds are creating or choosing to stay within these confines, we realize that if you live outside of that box, you don't have to obey the rules in the box. Well, now I sound like an anarchist, and I'm not an anarchist. I don't mean to sound that way at all. But the belief systems really do keep us confined. And so that's where I think fear is once you almost stand up and take a deep breath and say, wait, I can do this differently, and the fear goes away, you see how it changes everything around you. It's something you have to experience, right, Gwilda? You can't just tell somebody, oh, if you wouldn't fear that, it wouldn't hurt you. You can't tell somebody that. They have to have that happen to them. And once they have it happen once, they might try it a second time.
That's amazing, because it's just like you said, the Matrix, like in the movie The Matrix. If they knew they were in a computer program, but if they got shot while in that computer program, they died anyway. Because
that's right.
That was the rule set in that particular reality, and we set our reality by believing in it and giving it our power.
Yes, we give it our power, exactly. Uh-huh.
Before we run out of time, would you please tell the listeners where they can find your book?
Oh, my book is available through Amazon and through most bookstores. I think the easiest is Amazon.com, although you can write directly to the publisher. Their website is www.innertraditions.com. That's all one word, Inner Traditions. There are numerous places. It sells wherever books sell. But also they can look on my website, which is marybeben.com, and the front page of my website shows the book and all the information about how to get it. Gives you a lot of information about the book.
Oh, fantastic.
So I also have a lot of other teaching material on there if people would like to go and look for that.
Oh, great.
So, I'd be very happy to just try and help people to expand their imagination and that's all it takes is attending to it, Anything you practice and work at, you can bring about. So,
Mary, what do we're supposedly in a free will universe here. So, what happens to those on the planet at this time who choose not to embrace ascension?
Well, what happens to them? I think they're just not. Their experiences don't become part of reality. That's very esoteric and hard to understand. But can I approach that from a different direction? Is that I go into, I have a really special thing, I think, in the book that I love to talk about, and that's the blue spiral. And in the gathering room in that house, people take their experiences of Earth, the things they have accomplished. Like, for instance, I have raised 6 children, and they are very real accomplishments, very real dear people. And or other people have, professional things that they've achieved. Not everything you achieve amounts to a hill of beans in the evolution of the universe, but some things really, really do. Some things are very important. So whatever you take into that gathering room, you're taking all the experience of your whole lifetime that you've garnered from being on this earth, and you're giving it over to the blue spiral. You're letting it continue to turn, and you're feeding it into that turning and letting go of it for personal gain, personal reasons or anything like that. And as you let go of it, the spiral takes and uses that energy, those ideas, those creative abilities in ways that we can't even imagine. But it is magic, no two ways about that. And it uses that energy, and then you go out and you have more experiences, and eventually you bring them back to the spiral. People who are not doing that, the people who are negative and choosing to opt out, are not contributing to what I'm calling the ultimate reality. It's just not going to exist after a while.
So they're choosing to remain at a frequency that's no longer going to be supported, so it won't have an impact on the masses? Is that what you're saying?
That's probably a very good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think that it's just going to, their power, any power they have is just going to dissolve. And they can sit there and hold their broken toy and keep trying to use it, but it's not going to work anymore.
That way of being is no longer going to be supported, and that's the good news, huh?
That's the good news, yes.
That's the good news. Mary, we are out of time. It's been such a pleasure. It was just so fun. It's been such a pleasure, and thank you so much for being on the program. This has been The Science of Magic. Remember, you can always listen to past thought-provoking episodes on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. Until next time, dear ones, may you be blessed with knowledge, comforted with love, as you follow your dreams.